Montana.
Touchdown, Debo in the slot. This is my end zone. Give me everything you got. Defense, hit him with that Cosa Nostra. Quan Alexander, this dance, Nick Bosa. 49er Empire, 49er Empire. This is for the fan base, die hard, set by. Stand up, 4-9 to the heart, J.E. Paul Lord back in Candlestick Park. Levi.
He was like, ED, come here. He said, Jerry, come here. He said, Eric, let me introduce you to Jerry. He said, Eric Davis, this is Jerry Rice. This is our meal ticket. If he touches the ground again, he said, if he touches the ground again, not listen to this. He didn't say, I'm going to fly you back. He said, I'm going to put you on a bus back to Jacksonville and you make and see to it that you never play in the NFL.
Now the fam, you see him sipping.
It's just water. It's just water.
It's Eric Davis, Super Bowl 29 champion, Eric Davis. Eric,
what's happening?
Tell you, fam, this is such a delight. You know, Eric, I owe you an apology too. A few years ago, you knew the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You'd come in and you said, 49ers, they're gonna get killed. They ain't got no possible chance. I mean, Eric, come on, man, you can't say that about the 49ers. What are you crazy?
Oh, yeah, I remember. And all kind of venom coming my way.
And Eric, he was absolutely right. Well, Eric was, I think it was 2015, 16, after Harbaugh left 2017, 2018. Mm-hmm. No, 2017. You started. Go ahead.
It was after Jim left. And I looked at the things, the moves that they had made, and I said, when someone asked me about the team, and I was like, there's no way they can be good. And they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, look, like you lost. I started thinking about it, and I was like, you lost 5 or 6 first-round selections that were key contributors. And the ones that weren't first rounders, I said it's like a Frank Gore. Oh. I was like, you look at the turnover in the roster, and I was like, every playmaker, every leader, every dog and damn dude is gone. And I was like, I'm sorry, it's the worst roster in the league. And oh goodness, the entire Bay just piled on my head. Like, oh, you can't do that. And I was like, man, I always say, man, you got to scout with your head, not your heart.
See?
And I was scouting with, and I was like, I'm looking at it like, I don't like it, but if they asked me the question, and I'm like, okay, that's where it is. And it was like last year, the same thing when they asked me the question about the team, and they were talking about Jimmy, your franchise quarter, you got your franchise quarterback, and I said, pump the brakes. Yeah. I said, first of all, let's pump the brakes. I was like, Jimmy hadn't done a damn thing for the franchise yet. I said, so I'm just trying to see if he can be a starter. I said, I want to see if he's a solid starter right now. I said, I'm not trying to put that pressure on him to be Joe Montana yet. I want to see if he can be a starter. I said, he hadn't done anything at that time. I was like, I got to see him get through the season. He hasn't done anything for the franchise. He hadn't won playoff games. He hadn't done. Like, so why am I calling him my franchise quarterback? There's been a whole lot of guys that have been through there since Steve. I mean, Jeff Garcia. Yes. I mean, since Jeff Garcia, the quarterback position has just been a revolving door. So, I was like, let me see. But what I thought and what I said was, all you can do this time of year, just like we are right now, is win on paper, get better on paper. And I was like, what they did was address the needs. They addressed the issues. And I said, right now, of course, I want to wait and see what's going to happen. I said, but they did everything they were supposed to do to make themselves a viable force moving forward. And let's see how it played out. And after, it was about week 3, I think it was a Cleveland game, when I was like, people, this is a good football team. Like, let it go. Stop wondering. Stop messing with Jimmy. Stop trying to figure out, if Kyle is, this is a good football team. And I hadn't, they didn't do anything to change my mind since that point.
Eric, see, that's why Eric is like Nostradamus, because even if you get mad, you need to listen. Eric has played on a Super Bowl team. Eric, this is why I want to ask you, being that you've been there, done that, and been through all what it takes, you see all the environment pretty much dictates, you can pretty much see now clearly And is there any resemblance between the dynamic organization you was with the 49ers back in the 90s, 94, winning that Super Bowl and everything else? And by the way, Eric was the reason why Troy Aikman probably still don't like him to this day.
No, we get along, man. We get along.
But he picked
he was like, I can't believe you guys got me on that one. Yeah.
But is there any resemblance between what John McVay was doing and George Seifert? And can you see what it takes, because you know what it takes to be a Super Bowl winner. Can you see any resemblance between that organization back in the day and right now?
Yes, because the thing that even going into this draft, everyone was talking about, the wide receivers. They got to get a wide receiver. They have to do this. You got to get this. And I kept saying, all through the draft, I was number one. I was like, well, weren't they second in the league in scoring? Scoring is not a problem. I don't understand why everybody is saying you have to have something. And my comment, and I'm on the record saying, I said the 49ers don't need anyone. They're a good football team. A draft is coming. You're going to select some players, but they don't need a player. The 49ers did not lose the Super Bowl because of the lack or absence of a player. That's not why. They lost because they didn't make the plays when necessary.
Yes.
That's why they lost. It had nothing to do with talent. So, looking at the organization, I kept saying it wouldn't surprise me if they grabbed the big guy. Why? And this is to answer your question. Why? Because John has shown that that's his philosophy, that he wants to get big people, get nasty guys up front and go from there. That's the way he learned football. That's the way he won his championships with Tampa. And that seems to be his philosophy. So back to this draft, the thing that made me the happiest with the selection of Kinlaw is that it goes along with what you're saying. The parallels between the organization now and the organization then. You just heard me say they didn't lose because of a player. If you're always chasing a player, a coach, a system, a scheme, you will always be chasing the better team. It'll always happen. What you have to have is not a quarterback, not a pass rusher, not a wide receiver. You have to have one philosophy. How do we win? How are we going to build this organization into a champion? What do we believe it takes to be a champion? And you have to make certain that everyone in the building understands that you believe in it and you set things accordingly. And that's what they've done since they've gotten there. We're going to get some big, mean boys up front. And you see, they got some damn dudes up front.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like we're going to beat your boys up. We're gonna if you're not tough, if you're not fast, if you're not smart, if you don't play with a purpose, you're not going to play here. And that's how we were built. You have a job to do. And it wasn't that old kid philosophy like, oh, you know what, all you can do is give your all. If you go out and give 110%, that's all they can ask. First of all, I don't know how you get 110% because you only get 100%. But, and everyone always says
but every
that.
Coach says that. Yeah.
They throw that cliche out. But no, this is the thing. So that was not the philosophy that Bill Walsh put in place that continued while I was there. That's not the philosophy. You win as a team. And it's not giving me your effort. If you lose, it's someone's fault. You win as a team, but if you lose, it's someone's fault. And if you're giving me all of your effort, if you're doing your absolute best, if you are out there fighting and scratching and clawing and sweating, and I see it and I know it, and it's not good enough to get it done, I truly appreciate the effort. But we got to find somebody better than you.
We've heard about those stories, and it's terrifying for as a fan. You're watching, and you fall in love with players like we all do because we're not in the same emotional arena as you guys are in that locker room. Yeah, and in fact, Eric, speak upon that as well. You're saying things that make me think the locker room, the camaraderie that's going on in the 49ers locker room currently. It seems unreal when you read about things like Akella Witherspoon coming over to the coach and saying, "Coach, I know I'm being pulled out the game." Not so many words, but he said, "I'm willing to take on mostly special teams duties." He's got enough on his plate. Let me.
He had no choice.
It was like a science fiction movie. I wouldn't have came over there and said that.
What was he going to do? Say no, I'm not going to play special teams. You better play teams.
But Eric, do you have to come and volunteer?
You're the backup now. Whether you volunteer
or not,
whether you pout, whether you try to ignore it, that's your job now. You are the only person on a football team that does not have a starting position is the backup quarterback. Understand, you are either a starter on offense, a starter on defense, or you are a starter on teams. Yes. It's that. So when he lost his starting job as the corner on defense, you got to go start on teams, or you have no use to be on the roster.
So Eric, what you're saying is, in order to save face, Sakella went over there and volunteered his services as if.
No. I'm not going to say to save face. I'm not saying it wasn't sincere.
That was too
I'm
strong.
just trying to point out the fact that it didn't matter. Yeah, it didn't matter. It was irrelevant whether he wanted to do it or not. He had no choice. Now this is the thing that makes a good team. When guys take pride in their role. You understand your role. You take pride in your role. So if you are a star, and to be a good team, that's the way it is. Stars have to play like stars.
Right.
Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa. I went to Big Brother. The Bosas, they know how to make football players. That family need to clone that DNA. But Bosa, Nick Bosa is a star, and he has to play like a star, and he does play like a star. Richard Sherman, he's a star. He plays like a star. That's what happens. You got to understand that to be good, stars have to perform like stars. Your role players have to know their role, and they have to accept that role and take pride in that role. And to win a championship, you got to have a few surprises. You got to have some Radio Raheem Mosterts to come through and throw something that you weren't expecting. You got to have the Greenlaws that fifth rounder that you weren't expecting to just stone a dude on the goal line, because you weren't even expecting him to be in the game at that. When you drafted him, you weren't expecting him to make that play, because you weren't even really expecting him to be that dude. So that's how you win a championship. You got to have those surprise guys come along and do more than you thought they were going to be capable of doing. But to have a group, it really does say a lot about the feel of the locker room when a guy loses his spot and he's like, okay, I know the next guy is going to come out and grind. Now I got to grind doing what he was doing, because it matters. That lets you know that the coaching staff has got across what I'm saying. Like, everybody's role is important. And that's how it was. That was the organization. So those are similarities, because when I was there, it was known that Joe's job as the quarterback was important, but so was Broncos as the equipment manager. Yeah. So was Lindsay's as the trainer. You could go upstairs to the secretary. It didn't matter when there no one. The secretaries have the same rings that the players have. The groundskeepers have the same ring. They're like, their job is just as important as yours. We understand, the reality show of it all that you guys are in, but these are bit players in this reality show. And that's the way we were taught to be a Niner. And it wasn't about, and I wasn't taught to play professional football. I wasn't taught to play the game at a level to where I could become a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro. I was taught what it meant to be a Niner. This is what these colors mean. This is why we do it. This is how we do it. This is what's important. That goes back to your original question, philosophy. That was the philosophy. You were told, men, we are here to win championships, and this is how we're going to do it. That's the mindset that you got in every single day. We are here to win championships. This is how we're going to do it every single day. Wow. That becomes a part of your being, and it goes back into that. Don't be the guy. If we win, we win as a team. If we lose, it's someone's fault. And don't let it be your fault too many times, because
Contract
you
time.
just well, we got to find someone better than you, and you got to do something. And we used to always say, "Don't be the guy," and by "don't be the guy," it was don't be the guy to screw it up for everyone else, because you win it. Go ahead.
No, I said, Eric, you know what's so funny? Because the perspective you're bringing out right now, a lot of fans feel that and they express it, and sometimes, and then you get that dude coming across on social media, man, you ain't doing nothing but hating. But the truth is, and it's all rational. It makes all kind of sense. Don't be the guy. If we lose the game, like you're saying, it is a team effort to win the game. But if there's one cog, if there's one gear that slips, you actually do have to put the point on that dude.
Well, that's why football is the ultimate team sport. There are too many moving parts, and one guy can't win a football game. That's why there's no such thing. That's why I always laugh when people talk about the greatest football player of all time. There's no such thing as the greatest football player. There's no such thing because every position is so specific that there's no way. Well, you can say Jerry Rice is the greatest football player. No, he's not. Jerry Rice can't play left guard.
Can't quarterback.
I guarantee you. You know what? There are some positions. You know what? I'm not even going to say he couldn't have been a quarterback. He couldn't have done this. I know he can't play tackle because there it is. That's what I'm saying. So that's just how this game is played. You can get the baddest defensive player you ever want to get. Reggie White. Okay, well, Reggie White couldn't play wide out.
Or running back.
I'm sorry. Yes. So we can go across. So that's the thing about it. So one guy can screw it up for everyone else, and that was the mindset that you got to go to work every day with that philosophy and understanding that you got to get better, and you cannot get to that level until you understand the obligation, and that's the most important thing. And that's what I was talking about being a Niner, and I like that I'm starting to see that around there.
There you go.
I knew I was obligated. Whether it had nothing to do with my feels, it had nothing to do with likes or dislikes of teammates or whatever, or injuries or contract situations. I was obligated to do my job at a level so that the guy next to me
can excel.
Did not have to worry about wasting energy on covering for me. Therefore, he wouldn't miss something that he could have been focusing on to do his job. I can't allow him. I have to understand that I am obligated no matter what to do my job so he can do his.
There you go. And you know, you mentioned that, and I love her. I mean, Sherm, man, ever since we got him, it's been a blessing. But Sherm, you mentioned a mistake made. Sherm has finally shown that he's human. He made a mistake in the playoffs. He made a mistake in the Super Bowl, and he knows it. He's not going to. That's not going to bother him.
He knows it.
But what I want to know is, now can we see a difference in the treatment of Richard Sherman coming in 2020? Are they going to target him more, thinking he may now be vulnerable, or is Sherm brilliant enough to say, "Oh, they're going to come after me now," but they think they would run that move and play on me again? They got another. What kind of insight can you give me on that? What's going to happen to Sherm?
Well, they're going to come at him because he gave up some plays, and Sherm knows that. They're going to look at the film and they're going to say, you know what, Devontae Adams got him. Who was that got him in the Super Bowl? The Watkins.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Mr. Sammy Watkins. Come to America. But anyway, but that's going to happen. The great thing about this is that Sherm's not broken. And you know what is going to happen? By coming at Sherm, you're going to give him an opportunity to make a play. Because as an old corner, one thing I know, it hadn't changed. The only way you can make a play is if they're coming at you. That's the only way you can make a play, is if they're throwing at you. You don't worry about the ones that don't come to you. You got to make the ones that do come to you. And if you come at Sherm enough times, I have a feeling that he'll do okay. So I'm not concerned about that. He's not broken. But to answer your question is, will he see action? Yes. Did he see more action last year? Yes.
A little bit more, true.
But he did. And I think he's going, but you also saw what happened by seeing more action. He was an all-pro. Yeah. And that's what happens.
Yes.
That's you can't make plays unless they come at you. And if you decide to continue to come at Sherm, just like last year, you end up with one of the best defenses in the league because he's going to win more times than not. So am I concerned about that? I'm not yet, because he hasn't given me reason to be concerned about it. He misplayed a couple of plays. I mean, just straight long speed, just straight out. I mean, with Devontae, he got into a foot race. And he lost. Yeah. And that's going to happen from time to time. That's just going to happen in the Packers game. He lost. He got himself in position in the foot race and he lost. And he just misplayed the play in the Super Bowl. He got beat off the line. Yeah. He's smart enough to know the play's not over, but then he put himself in a bad position because he tried to jump inside instead of just staying top shoulder outside and saying, okay, this isn't the play that I'm going to make. This one I might just make the tackle. Sherm normally stays in that mindset. He tried to jump inside because he had a feeling that he knew what was happening, and Sammy set him up and went upstairs on him, got him, stacked him, and then that's it. And it doesn't matter how fast you are. And people are like, he just smoked him. This is the thing that you got to understand a good receiver, a veteran receiver is going to do. They're going to stack you. And once they stack you like Sammy did, I can only run as fast as you allow me to run. So Sammy knows where he's got to get to and where the ball's going to be. So so now he's going to just stay right in front of you like this and hold down until he knows the ball's coming, and he's got to get to that spot, then burst, because he can. You can't run up behind him, because if you hit him, it's PI. Yep. So Sammy stacked him, and then it was over. When he tried to jump inside, Sammy was like, no, I'm not going there. Gotcha. And that was a bad play.
And Eric,
that's all, a bad play.
It wasn't. Eric, that's not necessarily a blueprint that's going to work each and every time. If I'm an OC, now I see what you mean by that, because the fact of the matter is, Sammy, at that moment in time, that worked. That's not going to work on Richard all the time. So
not every time. Well, no, it can't, because if it had worked at all the time, he wouldn't be at all pro. True. He wouldn't be a future Hall of Famer because he understands that. And even you think about Devontae Adams, like I said, in the Green Bay game, he lost the foot race, and then what happens the next time they try to take him deep? He put himself in position, just as you're saying, and he's smart enough to know, okay, well, guess what? I can't outrun him, but this is the thing that football, defensive back, it's geometry, it's leveraging angles. I don't have to run a 4-2 to cover a guy that runs a 4-2. Because first of all, the quarterback can only throw the ball so far. There's only so much room on the football field based on formation, based on the defense that I'm playing, based on positioning on the field. There's only so much room you have to work with. And once I diagnose that, and Sherm is very, very smart at doing that, this is the area that you can run to. That's where the ball's going. So I don't have to chase you around or run with you. I just have to be where the ball is going to be at that intersection point. And that's what he does, as well as anyone who's ever played the position. That's why he's Richard Sherman.
Ain't that the truth? I love it. And Kello Witherspoon. If anybody knows, you probably know, because we love Spoon. The man has got a lot of passion. But he came in the last season, and you know it. He came in last season showing a lot of promise. He got injured. He came back, and he actually seemed to regress. Well, how did he lose his mojo? And is that confidence, or is he going to be able to come back and build on that? Have you seen that before, Eric?
Oh, of course. Because he's a young player. Remember, this was his first year really on the field regularly every time, being in that first team rotation and that first team huddle being the dude. He went through OTAs. He was given this opportunity because, remember, you don't win a job or lose a job. Opportunities are given and taken. That's the thing. No one wins a job. E-Man didn't win the job. E-Man was given an opportunity to play, just like Witherspoon didn't win the job. He was given an opportunity to play. And now what you do, I didn't win my job. I was given an opportunity to play. They drafted me. They gave me an opportunity to play. Now it's what do you do with that opportunity? That's the way it works. So E-Man had gone through OTAs. He had gone through training camp. He had gone through preseason. He had gone through the first couple of games of the season, made some plays, got into a rhythm. feeling good about himself. Confidence comes from doing. Once I've made a play, I know I can make another play because I just made a play. I get an interception in the Tampa game. Next week, I'm ready to make some more plays. I just got my hands on the ball. That's what happens. Then he got injured and he was down. And did he lose all of that? The dude has everything. He has everything physically to be a top end corner. He has the length, he has the speed, he has a stinger, and you can't teach a guy how to like that sting. He has everything you need to play the position. He's got to get out of his own head. And he came back, and the game didn't get injured. So he got injured, and he came back expecting to see everything at that same pace that he was at. But the game keeps going. And the game keeps moving, and it moves faster and faster and faster. And it allows for less and less mistakes. It leaves fewer and fewer margin for error as the season goes on. So he got caught up in that. And it happens to a lot of players. Do you remember Joe Staley coming back his first game against Clowney?
Oh, that was sad. And you know that was not Joe. Yeah.
We know that was not Joe, but this is what happens when you come in and these guys have been playing game speed. And you got to come in. We saw Joe, and Joe had to get back up to game speed. And I use Joe because you know how good Joe is. And Clowney made him look silly.
It was sad.
It was sad because it's that simple. When you have to get yourself ready to play. Now, Staley, being the vet that he is, you saw how quickly he got up to speed, and he understood that up here. Witherspoon, so Spoon is a young player that hasn't experienced that, and he couldn't figure out, like, why are these things not working the way they were working in preseason and training camp in those first couple of weeks. Because I told you even the last game that he got sat down against Minnesota. Yeah. His last start, Minnesota, he got sat down. When Diggs got him on that play. But he was in position. He was so you sit here and we think about that and everything, but think about that play in your mind. Spoon was running step for step with him. He was right there. He was in perfect position to make the play, and then he panics and falls and can't find the ball. And that's because he's trying so hard to not make a mistake. And if you this is Tim McDonald used to say this all the time. If you're afraid to make a mistake, you'll never make a play. Eric. No, not you'll never make a play. If you're afraid to make a mistake, you'll never make a play because you're gonna be paralyzed in the moment. You just got to react and do it and know that you can do it, and that's what Spoon has to get back. But it's going to be hard for him to get it back because someone else is going to get those opportunities.
I tell you, and there's a couple of guys coming in now, and I tell you, I look at some of the guys that are coming in now. The competition is going to be a little more difficult than maybe some people anticipate. But you know what I wonder too? As a coach, and from all you just said, Robert Saleh, has he had that talk with him?
Well, of course they've had that talk. I'm sure they had that talk. But there's not a whole lot of talking that you can do because it's really not a long conversation. The conversation is about this long. It really is. It's like piss or get off the pot. It really is. It's like, dude, make a play. I like you a lot. And I said this is about Spoon last year going into it. Like, I like Spoon. I think he has all his talent. I really like the fact that this kid can develop into something special. I really believe that. But right now, in this moment, you got to make the play. And that's just how it is. It's really that simple. Man, I remember one time George Seifert called me up. I think it was like I don't know if it was like my third or fourth year. George Seifert called me up to his office one time, and he told me, he said, E, how you walked in? He was like, E, how you feeling? I was like, George, why am I here? And I'm like, why do I had to go see the principal. Like, why am I here? He was like, E, listen to this. True story. He said, E, there's a problem in the secondary. Now listen, there's a problem in the secondary. Didn't say, E, you're playing. He said, there's a problem in the secondary. And I'm just starting to think about it. We got to figure out a way to get things fixed. if anything goes wrong, listen, hadn't yet said, E, you're not playing with. If anything goes wrong, I'm sitting you down.
Finally, your name comes into the sentence.
So, but now, not if you play badly. If anything goes wrong in the secondary, I'm sitting you down.
Even if it wasn't your fault.
And I said, yes. And I said, is that it? I said, is that it? And he said, yeah, that's it. I said, okay. So I say that
there were no uncertain terms, though, so you fully understood what he was saying.
I understood that the only way I could control the secondary getting better was for me
to play
better, lift my level of play. I didn't. You can't get in your head, because that right there could have easily gotten into my head. Like I said, I was a young player. Like I said, it was like may have been my third year in the league, and this. I'm like, okay, what was that? And then it's like, just play. That's all you can do. You can't concern yourself with not making a play, with not screwing up. Like, okay, I can't make a mistake, because if a mistake happens, then he's going to sit me down. All I can do is go out and play, because you are going to sit me down or not. The only thing that Spoon controls is what he puts on film. That's it. That's all Spoon controls. He can't bench himself. He can't make himself a starter. He can't cut himself. he can't make himself make the team. I mean seriously. Yeah. There's nothing he can do other than perform when they give him the opportunity. So I believe that he can do that. But as you said, there are going to be some other guys that are coming in. If Jason Verrett is healthy, he's going to make some. I know everyone has forgotten about him, but I'm just interested to seeing if he can just stay healthy. Yeah, I'm just telling. He's so good.
We all noticed him. We were so excited when he first came. Yes. And the kid AC, he's got a lot of attitude. Is attitude going to be enough for him to come out there and win a spot?
Well, attitude will take you, so far. But remember, everyone has an attitude. It doesn't really matter.
He's got some skills, though.
See, that's what I was going to say. It's a question of coming in and being consistent. It's not about being good. Young players want to be good. And that's what we were talking about with Spoon. Spoon wants to be good and not make a mistake. It's not about being good. It's about being consistent. That's the thing. Everybody in the NFL is good. Everyone on this roster, every single player on the 49ers roster right now is good. You don't get selected into the NFL if you're not good. Now, the question is, can you be an alpha of the alphas? Because everybody in that locker room is an alpha. Now, can you be the alphas of the alphas? Because that's a small group of guys that have those long careers. And that's what it's about, because every single day, every single year, they are trying to replace you. I told this story to somebody 3 years ago. I said I played 13 years, and the only year that they didn't bring in somebody that they thought could outplay me was 1990, when I got drafted to replace somebody, Tim McKyer.
Which makes sense. That's the only year they didn't game. And we see that each and every year. And I do wonder, though, you had to deal with guys on the 49ers offense, wide receivers. Eric, I could actually see where you could have gotten. You got Taylor, you got Wright. I could see where you could have got bored playing other teams. Even Michael Irvin. The argument still rages, was Michael Irvin better than Jerry Rice for 5 minutes? With the 49er fan, it doesn't last 2 seconds. But other people will say Irvin, Rice. I said, come. You get mad if you're 49er, right? But the thing is, you had to deal with those guys on a daily basis. Did you get bored at game time sometime looking at guys? Man, come on, man.
No, it wasn't a question of bored. I mean, there were some receivers that you would just look at and just tell them.
It's not going to be a good day for you, fam.
It was funny. Well, no, sometimes guys would just start talking, especially as I got farther in my career. Guys would talk trash and everything, and I was never really a talker. But I would like just tell guys sometimes. I'd be like, "You do realize you're the other receiver today, right?" Because they are not even going to look over here. As things went, later in the years. It would be funny when guys started talking. I would have, and even afterwards,
that's the best comeback you could possibly have, though, Eric. I mean, as he's talking, you realize they ain't coming your way today anyway.
It's like sometimes I was like, okay, let's just see. I still mess with T.O. about it. I remember one game when I went to Carolina and T.O. was talking all types of noise because I never played with T.O. I always played against him, and we get along. But T.O. was just a talker, just talking. I remember a game I played against him. One of the first couple games I played against him, my first couple years, and T.O. was just talking trash. Then the first play, because the first play of the game, he came out and I quick jammed him. And then the second play, I did it again to let him know I meant to do it the first time because he was talking trash. Like, you better not put your hands on me. You better not put your hands. So I hit him. And I was like, what is this? Like, does he really think? It was just funny. And then I'm going to get so. A couple plays came. I knocked down a curl. He came in again. They ran another play. He tried me on a double move. I knocked it down. Next time the ball came, I intercepted it. And he came and tackled me from behind. And he was talking trash. And he was like, I got you, man. I did. And I was looking at T.O. and I said, T.O., you do realize I have more catches than you today. That was like the extent of my trash talking. I didn't do that. But now, so when people talk about better than, so that it wasn't getting bored. It was that I had an opportunity to learn from greats. You were not going to get someone more competitive than Jerry to work with. You were either going to get better or you were going to get cut. He was the standard. There, like I said, there was a standard that the Niners had, the way you worked. And Jerry got a whole lot of guys cut. And I didn't want to go home. And I learned my first minicamp. Again, another George Seifert story. Very first minicamp. We were out there, and like I said, I had just come from a little Division II school where I played cat coverage, and it was like you cover that cat, Malone, you cover that cat. That was my other corner, Darryl Malone, and it was like you erase them, you fight, you battle. They didn't catch nothing not practice, not in the game, nothing. That's how you battle. I come to minicamp, and Ray Rhodes, who was the DB coach at that time, he told me, he said, wherever 80 goes, you go. I just got drafted. I'm out here. Okay, it's number 80. And it was just like that. Hey, that was part of the reason he drafted me. He asked me, like, what you gonna do when I line you up in front of Jerry? And I was like, I'm going to eat. And we got out there and I'm battling. And I'm battling with Jerry and we go on a deep ball and I knock one down and then he runs the route across the middle and I dive and knock that one over and we hit the ground. And we get up after that and, they blow the whistle. They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. A few plays later, I did the same thing. I ran into Jerry because I'm battling. I knocked him over. Jerry gets up. They stop everything. Jerry gets up. Jerry didn't say a word. He was just like, good play, man. He was like, good play, young blood. And they stop everything. George Seifert calls everyone up. He calls everyone to the center of the field. And he said, and he was like, Eric, I didn't even have a 49er shield on my helmet yet. And he was like, ED, come here. He said, Jerry, come here. He said, Eric, let me introduce you to Jerry. He said, Eric Davis, this is Jerry Rice. This is our meal ticket. If he touches the ground again, he said, if he touches the ground again, listen to this. He didn't say, I'm going to fly you back. He said, I'm going to put you on a bus back to Jacksonville and you and see to it that you never play in the NFL.
Eric, we imagine these stories, but you're telling me that they actually do happen. It's hilarious.
Yes. So it was like, so I learned, okay, he's more important than me. So I'm going to watch him and see how he works because I want that kind of pull. I want them to say we need him around here like that. I want to be a part of this culture. I want to see what do I have to do to be not that, but to cement my spot to where they're like, we need this dude. This dude can help us. You make certain that nothing happens to him because he's important to us. And that's the kind.
But Eric, how do you play? Because you got to come out there and you got to show people I belong on this team. I can do this job. But at the same time, you need to be cautious of certain players on the field. How do you monitor a hit? How do I be careful
Can I tell you this? You know what you do? You get better, and it made us better. You play the game full speed, but remember, you're dealing with world-class athletes.
Yeah.
DBs are some of the most athletic people on the planet. I'm not just saying it because I am. They're the best athletes on a football field.
You have to be.
You have to be, which means I should have the body control to not hit you, to not run into you. So it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to just run and push you in your back if you run a curl route to try and knock the ball down than it is to actually get around you, reach around you, get my hand out and knock the ball down. It takes more finesse. It takes better footwork. You have to be quicker. You have to be closer to making that play to get around someone. So in actuality, it's making you work at that game pace. So again, I say confidence comes from doing. You've done it. You've been in position. Your feet are where they need to be. Your eyes are where they need to be. You're able to get yourself there so many times on a daily basis. So that this Jerry thing, you were like, it wasn't bored. It was that you learned to work. I learned to work at a pace and at a level that was so clean that you start working with other guys. I was never concerned about the other guys. So that's the better way to do it. I never disrespected anyone. Like I said, everyone in the NFL is good. Yeah. Everyone in the NFL is fast.
They wouldn't be there. Exactly.
Or they wouldn't be there. And then there were some guys, like I said, Michael Irvin's not even going to tell you he's better than Jerry. Yeah. He's not going to do it. Michael Irvin was better than Jerry getting off the jam.
Okay.
Michael was the best. He was the best I ever saw in getting off press coverage because he was just so strong and physical. And he like physical receivers an oxymoron. Mike actually liked contact, but I can tell you, I had JT to work with every day as well, who was like that. He was so physically strong and quick, and this is mine. JT should have been a DB. We always said that he should have been a defensive back. Just his mind, he didn't have an offensive player's mentality, and it's a completely different mentality from offensive players and defensive players. And it's really simple. Offensive players are the guys that walk around and with their jerseys on, and they want everybody to know who they are in the mall. It's that mindset.
Staying close to the stands and stuff. Yeah.
It's just that mind. It's a different mindset that an offensive player has. A defensive guy doesn't really need anybody to know who he is. He just wants that offensive player to know that, yeah, I got you. I got you on that one. And that's what really truly matters to a true defensive player, is for the guys to know. So that's the thing. So it wasn't, like I said, always respect the guys, and because there are just so many phenomenal players, but there was no reason to fear anyone because I literally went against the best. I mean, I had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I had Hall of Fame receivers. JT was anybody's All-Pro. Yeah. I had Brent Jones at the tight end position. I go from Roger Craig to Ricky Waters. So I mean, and then on top of that, it was just the pace that everything went at and how everything needed to be done. And the flip side of that is defensively, I had to live up to the standard that had been set by Ronnie and E. Wright and Keena. And there was a standard on how you're supposed to play the game. So, you just go in and you fall in. And back to these guys today, yeah, they're building that. They're doing that. And hopefully they continue to build off of what they're putting in place.
It is. Eric Davis, Eric, you know what? We got to get a volume 2 of Eric Davis. Eric's got so much fun stuff that you want to hear about. Eric, we got to clean it up now. We can close it now, but listen. Flash that social media stuff. Eric, there it is. I'll just get it on the screen. All right? Eric loves to talk football. Get to him, because Eric is like, I'm booked to be opened up. Eric, appreciate you today, fam. I tell you, I'm going to get you back up here. I'm going to wait till the season starts.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Because I got to hear your synopsis. I'm going to wait until about week 4. Because you should fully have digested what's going on. Because you can break it down you really break it down, Eric. I love it.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, give me a month. Everyone's like, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Who's going to do it? I don't know. And I'll tell you, I don't know. it's too early to tell who's even good.
I know, yeah.
You know, because everybody, right? Cincinnati thinks they're going to win the Super Bowl right now.
And Baker Mayfield, he was supposed to be good last year, but he was doing better commercials on TV.
There it is. So you have to start playing the game and see how guys are going to gel and what's going to happen. So it takes a minute. It takes a minute. Football season doesn't start until October.
Yes, I know. That's the way it's going to look now, too. Eric, appreciate you, fam. Talk to you later now.
All right, man. Anytime. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Eric.